Hello and welcome to the Penno Channel for this Aston Villa January window update. As always, if you could subscribe as well. There's a lot of you watching that are not subscribed, so please do subscribe, and also comment your thoughts on all the rumours and links within this video. And with Aston Villa, this January window, there are so many links and so many rumours going about. Obviously, Villa are about to sell John Duran. The Saudi window closes today, so that will get tied up soon. So the amount of striker links that Villa have is ridiculous. Strikers, 10s, wingers, defenders, there's so many to go through. And let's start with this massive story that has literally just broke in the last, 10-15 minutes. Mati Moretu, big Spanish journalist, gets a lot of things right. He reported that Barcelona have stalled in talks with Marcus Rashford, and that now Aston Villa and Unai Emery are trying to strike a deal. They're interested in getting the services of Marcus Rashford. Then, about 5 minutes ago, this was confirmed. The Athletic have published and stated that also Aston Villa are interested in signing Marcus Rashford. This window has been mad with the links, and Marcus Rashford being linked to Aston Villa is mental. Imagine saying that 3 years ago. It's mad. So, Marcus Rashford, 27 years old, been at Man United since he was a boy. Came through the academy. We all remember when he burst onto the scene, the goals against City. Had a massive impact under Van Gaal when they were struggling for strikers and he had to call upon someone from the academy. Marcus Rashford was that guy, stepped up. Numerous caps for England. We've seen him represent England at various tournaments as well. I think the last time I saw Marcus Rashford being Marcus Rashford was probably the World Cup. That to me felt like the last time Marcus Rashford was on the scene, because he was unbelievable for England at that World Cup. Because at the start of it, he didn't seem like he would start, and then he burst through into the team when he got his opportunities, and he was unbelievable. But since then, tough times at Manchester United. What player doesn't have tough times at Manchester United, to be honest? They've struggled for numerous years now, over a decade, and I think he's the one player whose career has suffered the most from being at Manchester United, because he's been there from the start of Fergie leaving. And yeah, it's just been up and down for Marcus Rashford whilst he's been there. Had some great seasons in between that, don't get it twisted, but I don't think Marcus Rashford has hit the level that he could have. And to still only be 27 years old, just think how long he's been around for. But Marcus Rashford, if there's one player that could do with a change of scenery, it's him. If there's one manager that loves to work with players and change their fortunes, it's Unai Emery. So is there a chance of this happening? Now, the deadline for the window is Monday. We're on Friday now, so there's only a few days left. Would Villa be able to tie down Marcus Rashford? For me, it would only be a loan. There's no details of what the deal would be, but it has to be a loan. Marcus Rashford's salary is too high. He's on 350 bags plus. There's no way Villa can afford to pay him that. So it would be a 6-month loan deal. We've seen the relationship between Rashford and Amrin. We've seen Amrin come out and say, like, he's got to change his attitude. He's not part of the team. Week after week, he gets questioned on it, and he states that he's got to improve in training, etc. Would Unai Emery be willing to take him in? If those are the cases, if that's the case, would he be willing to take him in? Does Marcus Rashford need to move out of Manchester and play, in another area, Birmingham, London, abroad? Possibly. Would Birmingham be the place? Possibly. Champions League football, currently not getting that at Manchester United, even though he's not playing. Possibly as well. So, Villa have constraints within this. They sold John Duran, but some of the money has to go to PSR, FFP. But could they get a deal with Man U to take Marcus Rashford on loan for 6 months? Would that appease Man United, or would they want to sell him on a permanent? It's interesting. Could a 6-month loan deal be the catalyst to get him back into the form that we all know Marcus Rashford has within him? Or is it for Villa that Marcus Rashford, why are we going for him? He hasn't done anything for a season and a half now. Why are we concentrating on getting him as a player? It is interesting, this one. This is a mad story to break so soon. For me, Marcus Rashford has so much ability, but I'm talking on yesteryears, not Marcus Rashford currently. This season, when he's played, he hasn't performed to the level I know he can. And again, is that circumstantial because of where he's playing, or is that on him? Interesting story. Please do let me know your thoughts on the comment and Aston Villa going for Marcus Rashford, because the news is broke now, and how you'd feel about it, especially Villa fans. Man U fans, would you happy to see him leave? And any other fans as well, what do you think regarding this story? Because that's an absolute mad one, and we'll see how that one develops. Going on from that, Monchi, Villa's sporting director, did an interview last night in Spain, and he was very open within this interview. Talked about the John Duran deal, talked about PSR, FFP, talked about Villa qualifying in the top 8 in the Champions League. He also talked about players Aston Villa are interested in and mentioned 2 names. Now, we all know Joao Felix. That's been going on for a number of days now. How many windows Villa have tried to sign him, etc. But he also mentioned Marco Asensio as well. Now, both players are under, yes, you guessed it, George Mendes. They're his clients. So no surprise there. Villa are always in contact with George Mendes, it seems, even though they've only signed one player off him in their history, which was Moreira, who played like 2 games. He was more connected to Wolves, usually, George Mendes. But anyway, Marco Asensio could be a possibility. Villa are in talks with PSG. They're also in talks with Chelsea regarding Joao Felix. But as I said with Asensio, he's 29 years old. I said it in previous videos. He's 29 years old now. He's been kind of pushed out of the PSG team. PSG have some young attacking talent that are taking his position, kind of leaving him surplus to requirements. You've got Bacola, you've got Dembele, you've got Due, you've got Kangin Lee. Those are 4 names straight off the hat that are getting in ahead of him as well. You've got Goncalo Ramos, who can play up top, so those players will play on the wings. Asensio can't get in the side, and I feel like PSG now seem surplus to requirements. They've stated that they'd like to get rid of him permanently. The fee could be around 20 million euros. So again, Villa, the way they're operating, and they have been for a while now, is they go for players who are kind of out of favour and they try and mould them and make them better. We've had some success stories through that. Darnell Marlin's the next one, who's coming from Dortmund, who's kind of a similar story, kind of fell out of favour. Marco Asensio's fell out of favour, obviously Joao Felix as well, but is Marco Asensio the player you'd want to be signing on a permanent? Now, he's had previously, injury record hasn't been the greatest. Villa are trying to compete in Champions League here. They're trying to go for Champions League places as well. PSG, for all they are, they've changed their approach and they're relying on young attacking talent. Is this the right approach for Villa to sign someone who's 9 years of age, coming towards the end of a great career, obviously Real Madrid and now PSG? Is that the right move for him? How many years has he got left? What would his salary be? Because it's going to be expensive. Definitely going to be expensive, Marco Asensio, because he's on a lot of money at PSG. So this is things that Villa will have to consider, obviously, and whether to make the move. We'll see what happens with these talks. Again, there's a few days left. Villa need another attacker. John Duran's gone. Emery Buendia's gone out on loan to Leverkusen. I think Villa will try and get another attacker. But who's that name? Marcus Rashford, Marco Asensio, Joao Felix, Mathys Tal. So many players that Villa are linked with right now. And yeah, that's another one, Marco Asensio. So we'll see what happens there. Going on from that and moving on, a defender, a centre-back. Villa need a centre-back. Tyrone Mings is injured. Pau Torres is still injured. They sold Diego Carlos. Konza's the only fit first-choice centre-back available. We've seen Luca Dean play centre-back against West Ham. We've seen Bubakar Kamara have to go to centre-back against Celtic. Now Matty Cash has got injured. Kosta Nedeljkovic is going to go out on loan. So that's right-backs that we're missing. Defenders. Villa need defenders, and especially centre-backs. Because, yeah, there's a lot of fronts Villa are playing on. And there's been 2 names that have been linked recently. The first one I'll go into, Fikayo Tomori. Fans of Premier League will remember Tomori at Chelsea. 27-year-old, a few seasons ago, he went to AC Milan, won the Scudetto there, had an unbelievable time in his first season, I think that was. But now he plays now and again, but Milan could potentially be looking to get rid of him and make improvements elsewhere. Currently, Villa have reported to have offered initial €3 million loan deal with an option to buy, dependent on if Villa qualify for the Champions League next season, if that would take place, because I feel like, Tomori would want that, and that's been stated by Italian sources. But now it seems as if that's been rejected and Spurs have also come into this as competition. And from various reports, it seems like Spurs are now front runners for that. Would Villa go back in for Fikayo Tomori? Now, Fikayo Tomori has vast experience now, having played for AC Milan as well in the Champions League. We all remember Tomori at Derby because we played against him in the playoff final. But he's gone on, to really have a good career so far. He's 27, so he's at the age where he's in his peak, or he's about to reach his peak as well. Would he be up for a return to the Premier League? I think possibly he would. Would that be with Aston Villa, or would that be with Spurs? Because we know Spurs' current defensive issues and woes as well. So Spurs might be willing to offer more because of the crisis they're having, or are Villa in a position to match that or offer more for Fikayo Tomori? Let me know your thoughts on that one, but that's another one that's been passed forward, and the initial loan bid has supposedly been rejected. So let's see if Villa go back in for him. Finally, we're going to Kevin Danso, 26-year-old, currently playing his football at Lens, Austrian international. He came to England, I think it's around the age of 6, in Milton Keynes. Came through the Reading and Milton Keynes academies, left Milton Keynes Academy when he was 16 to go to Augsburg in Germany. Made his debut at Augsburg. Played for Austria and made his debut there in 2017. So he's 26 now. He made his Austrian debut in 2017. And then from Augsburg, he was there a few seasons. Had a loan spell at Southampton where he made 6 Premier League appearances. If you remember that, 2019-20 season. And then he went back on loan. Southampton didn't activate their option to buy. Had another loan after that. I think it was at Frankfurt. And then went back to Augsburg and then was sold on to Lens, where he's really started to excel and show what he's capable of. As the summer window shown, Kevin Danso is linked to a number of clubs across Europe. And this window, again, he's been linked to a number of clubs. Wolves being one of those, but there's been no further details regarding that situation. And now Aston Villa. There's been reports that Aston Villa have had talks with him today and his representatives about him making the move to Birmingham and becoming an Aston Villa player. Now, Kevin Danso's one I like. I like that player. I like that link. He's about to reaching his peak. About to reach his peak. He's 26 years old. Vastly experienced playing in Europe, playing in Ligue 1, also playing for the Austrian national side. And I think he's got ability as well. I think he's a good player. With Villa's requirements and needs, he'd be a very good signing. And possibly cheaper than, like Bayday was going to turn out to be, or any other options Villa have currently looked at so far. I like this one. And I'd like to see how this one develops for sure. Again, saying how I'd like to see how it develops. There's not many days left, so if Villa are going to act now in this window, they need to start acting now. But yeah, let's see how that one develops regarding Kevin Danso, because he's had interest in him over the past year from a lot of clubs, and I think it's time. I think it's around the time now that he's going to make the move. So let's see where it is. Anyway, as I said at the start, if you could subscribe again. A lot of you are watching, so please do subscribe. Really appreciate it on the road to 1,000 subscribers. And also comment your thoughts on the names mentioned. Big names like Marcus Rashford, Joao Felix, Marco Asensio, defensive names such as Fikayo Tomori and also Kevin Danso. Let me know your thoughts on those rumours. And let's see what Villa do, because Villa will need to do something in these remaining few days. Monchi going and doing Spanish interviews, talking about players from other clubs, shows that Villa are active. Well, you'd like to think that anyway, if our sporting director's coming out and saying that. And that was something I'd never seen the sporting director ever do. Managers never usually like to talk about players, let alone a sporting director. But anyway, I'm waffling on. If you could subscribe, comment, and I'll see you on the next video. Up the Villa.